Well, Bros is a new film that was promoted as the first gay romantic comedy from a major studio with an almost entirely gay cast, but did not meet its goal at the box office last week. According to the New York Times, homophobia cannot be ruled out as one of the reasons why the movie doesn't seem to be resonating with audiences, selling about $4.8 million in tickets opening weekend, which is 40% less than expected.
Comedian and co-writer of the movie Billy Eichner tweeted in response, quote, "That's just the world we live in, unfortunately. Even with glowing reviews, great Rotten Tomatoes scores, and a cinema score, etc., straight people, especially in certain parts of the country, just didn't show up for Bros. And that's disappointing, but it is what it is." He added, "Everyone who isn't a homophobic weirdo should go see Bros tonight. You will have a blast, and it is special and uniquely powerful to see this particular story on a big screen, especially for queer folks who don't get this opportunity often. I love this movie so much." Yes.
Well, what do you think, Batya? People refusing to see this movie because they hate the LGBT community?
I think the move of buy my thing or you're a bigot is probably seems to the person saying it very powerful, but is not great incentive to go see something. I mean, for God's sake, how many people does he think go see straight rom-coms anymore? Not very many. I mean, that's a genre that's been genre I love is very clear and close to my heart. I think, I love those movies. I will watch them, but I'm very much in a shrinking minority, and it's so great that this movie was made. Like, I don't understand why you have to then go and say, if it's not somebody's thing, they hate gay people. I mean, it's so obviously not the case. People on Twitter were bringing up all these great counter examples like Brokeback Mountain, which did, bonkers at the box office, and people telling really funny stories about how they ended up seeing it with like grandparents because they thought it was a Western. And then, there's just so much evidence to suggest that Americans are not bigoted. They are not homophobic. We're so totally past that whole part of our history. And I remember when Eichner got up at I forget which awards show and said, "You have to go see my movie so we can show it to the homophobic Supreme Court that, our rights are not for sale. We're not going backwards." It's like, come on, man. Like that. First of all, it was only Justice Clarence Thomas who even suggested that Griswold was going to be, reconsidered. The rest of them were completely against that. I mean, it's just so seeing him have this meltdown and then say, because you wouldn't see my thing and buy my thing, therefore you hate people like me. I just found that to be really gross.
Eichner came this close to saying, Ukraine needs you to see this movie. It was that level. He didn't actually, but you know what I mean? It was that level of you are not part of the cause. You're not a good person unless you see it.
Totally.
I don't want to be mean. I don't like to be mean to people, but I don't find Billy Eichner very funny. I've not enjoyed the interviews he did. Maybe I hate that kind of thing. I don't care for that kind of humor. I didn't like his Parks and Recreation character very much, so I think I'd be more likely to see the movie if it was a different actor than him, which sounds really mean, but he's being kind of mean on social media about this, So I just have never really gotten why his thing is particularly funny. But
I think even if somebody can even say, I don't want to see a movie which dramatizes two men having sex and not be a homophobe, right? Like, you can be out there saying, I totally respect people's rights to do this. I totally respect people's rights to make this movie. I just don't want to watch it. That does not make you in any way a bigot. But what does make you a bigot is something actually that Billy Eichner tweeted that people were mentioning, right? He tweeted in the past, what was it? Get your fictional hateful Bible stories and your fake fictional religious BS out of our effing lives. F you.
Yeah, that was in response to the Roe decision, Roe being overturned. Look, but you made a great point about going to see. I wouldn't go to see probably a romantic comedy in theaters. Period. If it was on TV, if this was on TV, I'd probably watch it. But I'm not gonna I only go to the movies basically to see superhero films. Gay superhero film is whenever Marvel has its first, gay Marvel movie, I will see it night of. Because I see every Marvel movie night of. I'm a true fan, but So I don't know. I think I think that's probably more the case, like you said, than anything having to do with. Well, yeah, certainly some people some people are homophobic, some people are racist, some people are sexist, etc. You do have to. I think you have to acknowledge like the tremendous progress, right, the country has made on all those fronts. The progress LGBT acceptance has made, in our lifetimes, in just like the last 15 years, is staggering. And I'm sure, some people will argue it needs to go further. I too don't want to see any of the legal, protect gay marriage or gay adoption or anything like that rolled back. But it's. Again, this is really about a movie studio's bottom line. The movie studio would like you to think this is for the good of humanity, but really it's just about the movie studio's bottom line. And the pivot for so many in progressivism or advocates of progressive causes to be about, and this is something you complain about, and our other hosts have complained about, that the corporate takeover of it, where it's like, yes, you have supporting the cause means supporting like products and brands, is how activism cynically getting challenged through like a capitalist lens. It's something I find, as someone who is not hostile to capitalism, just sort of more amusing than anything else. But no, I don't think the cause is really impugned by whether anyone sees this movie or not. Again, no disrespect to Billy Eichner. I'm sure many people find him very funny. I just personally do not find that kind of humor funny. I find a lot of things not funny. Takes a lot to make me laugh. Only your charming, lovely remarks, Batya.
Yeah, I'll just say one last point, which is like, I actually don't watch superhero movies because I find it very hard to imagine myself in that scenario. And for me, that's a big part of, the escapism is like you sort of picture yourself in that situation. And I think that part of what might have happened here is that rom-coms are a very female-oriented genre, and you're not homophobic. I'll probably actually go see it because I would probably really like it. But, you're not a homophobe to say, what I'm trying to do with my escapism is be able to imagine myself in a scenario. And if the lead is somebody who's attracted to men, that makes it much harder for the people who this genre has traditionally, been targeted at.
I don't like to picture myself as a superhero either. I picture myself as a supervillain.
Oh, I love that. Yes.
All right, enough of this silliness. We'll have more Rising right after this. Stay with us.